What's going on, guys? It's Filthy and I'm back with another video. Today we've got a speed farm for the Necro. This is a season 18 patch 266 build and it's going to be the God mode Mage's Necro. Now this thing is absolutely phenomenal. With about 900 paragon you will be doing GR85 in 2.5 minutes. My average clear time of this is 2 minutes 45. It is absolutely disgusting. It just clears so quickly. It's so strong. You're immortal for part of the rift. And it is really nice to play. Now before we get in and I'll tell you how it all works, I just want to welcome anyone who's new to the channel. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and always a thumbs up is appreciated. So let's have a look at the gear. First off, this is a Legacy of Dreams build, so we're going to be taking a Legacy of Dreams legendary gem. Now this is new for 266 and it basically gives us the Legacy of Nightmares buff in the form of a gem. So whilst we have no other set bonuses equipped, then we get a damage increase and a damage reduction. The damage increase and damage reduction are both doubled for ancient items, so similar to a Lon build, you want all 13 slots filled with ancient, but unlike Lon, it's not quite as detrimental. If you're missing one, you don't lose all of your power, you only lose half of it and half the damage reduction. So gearing into the build is pretty nice. It's not quite as gear dependent as a Legacy of Nightmares. As you can see, guys, I've only ranked this up to 89, so I've got another 20% worth of juice on here, so definitely room to grow, and I could be clearing, higher content if I had it at 99. Now why is this God mode mages? Well, obviously it revolves around Skeletal Mage Singularity, and we'll go through all the gear and skills in a little bit, but the reason it's God mode is mainly because of this new Messerschmitt's Reaver. Now on PTR this didn't proc off pets, but on 266 live and for season 18 it does, so this means that when our mages kill things, every time we get a kill we reduce the cooldown on one of our skills by 1 second. Now one of mage's problems is that you're always battling cooldown because you're heavily reliant on Land of the Dead and Simulacrum, and you normally take an Ingerm here and that will take 10 seconds off your cooldowns when you kill an elite. This is far superior because you don't have to kill elites, you can just kill any trash and it will bring the cooldowns back so quickly. So we've got two huge cooldown skills, Land of the Dead and Simulacrum, but don't worry, when we get to the gameplay I'm going to show you how to stagger them so that you've pretty much got one of them up all of the time. You're also going to be reasonably invulnerable. So that's another reason that it's the God mode Necro, and that is because we're going to take Rathma's Shield. Now we cannot lose life for 4 seconds after using Land of the Dead, Army of the Dead or Simulacrum. So basically what this means is that because of this Messerschmitt's Reaver, once we activate Land of the Dead we're going to get 4 seconds of invulnerability. We're pretty much going to be invulnerable anyway because the screen will be frozen, and we're also going to be pairing this with the Ancient Parthen Defenders, which will give us a 12% damage reduction per enemy within 25 yards that's stunned, and a freeze counts as a stun. So whilst Land of the Dead is up, we are literally immortal for 4 seconds, practically immortal for the rest of its duration, and then once we hop out of that, we can then activate Simulacrum whenever we want, and we get another 4 seconds of complete and utter invulnerability. Now the idea is that your mages will be absolutely wrecking the shop around you, and that by the time your 4 seconds of Simulacrum invulnerability have ended, you're very close, if not already there again, to reactivate Land of the Dead and start that cycle through again. Now obviously guys, it's not quite that quick, you can't just keep pressing both of them one after the other, one after the other, but you can stagger them, and you do have quite a lot of uptime on either Land of the Dead or your 4 seconds invulnerability from Simulacrum, and it's really nice. So basically you can just fly around the map destroying everything without a care in the world, and it's only really if you proc your cheat death you've got to back off your playstyle and be a little bit less aggressive, but it just works so well, as you'll see in the footage. Now other new item wise, we're going to be taking Squirt's Necklace. This allows us to get essentially double damage. Now this obviously pairs really well with the Rathma's Shield, because what it does is that if we don't take any damage we get double damage, albeit when we do start taking damage that damage is increased by 50%. So again, provided your mages are pumping out damage and killing everything, you're reactivating Land of the Dead and Simulacrum, you're not taking damage, and you've got this little indicator here for your 10 Squirt's Necklace stacks, and that's a 100% damage increase. Now you will obviously take damage, it's just unavoidable because you're going to be flying through the rift at such speed that things will invariably hit you at some point. It's fine because once you do reactivate Land of the Dead, everything's frozen and the buff comes back pretty quickly. and obviously if you just don't take any damage for a brief period, this starts stacking up again, so it is really nice. It's like having the mages on steroids almost. Now the build revolves around Skeletal Mage Singularity. This, as I say, is one of the Necro's most damaging skills. What it does is it empties our essence pool, and every point of essence is worth extra damage to the mages, so the more essence we have, the more damage we have. So we're going to gear for max essence, but these things hit like an absolute truck, and we're just going to try and juice these up as much as possible. So we're going to be taking the Circle of Niluji Vol ring in the cube. Really easy to get at level 1, so you can stick this in the cube very easily. And what it does is it gives us 2 Skeletal Mage casts, and they also last 4 seconds. So when we pop it, we would get 2, but we also are taking Simulacrum with Reservoir. This will double our essence pool, so it's double damage on the mages, because remember they're linked to how much essence we have, and it also duplicates the skill. So whilst we have this active, and once we then hit mages, we get 4 of them. So you can have a maximum of 10 out, so obviously it's very easy to get these up. Now obviously you'll note the essence is completely drained, so we need to be getting essence back. So that's where Land of the Dead comes in, because we'll get infinite access to corpse skills. We're going to have Devour, Cannibalise on Numlock, so provided we're consuming corpses, we're generating essence. So we're going to be consuming corpses like crazy when Land of the Dead is up, and even when it's not up, the mages will trash everything, and that basically means that we get more corpses and we get more essence. So you want to wait until your essence is full before casting your mages. Obviously more essence is more damage, as we say. Now we're going to have to take Scythe of the Cycle. This gives us a 400% multiplicative buff to the mages because they are a secondary skill, so that also means we have to take Bone Armor and have that on the bar. Now we have to have this up for the mages to do the extra 400% damage. One of the downsides of Scythe of the Cycle is it reduces Bone Armor duration by 4 seconds every time we pump out a set of mages. Now because of the cooldown, because of the Messerschmitt Reaver, we can reactivate this whenever we want, so we just need to keep a little eye on it, make sure it doesn't deactivate. But other than that, we only want to use this in a defensive capacity, because we want our Messerschmitt Reaver procs to be going into Land of the Dead and also into Simulacrum. But it's there because of the Scythe of the Cycle. Now, Crispin Sentence is a staple in every Necro build. We get extra damage against slowed enemies and triple that effect against enemies that are under any other CC. So the CC that we're going to be proccing is the freeze off Land of the Dead. So whilst Land of the Dead is up, we dump out tremendous damage, which is absolutely fantastic because again this build is all about killing things very quickly. We're also going to be taking Convention of Elements. This is going to give us another doubling of damage because it's triple damage, but the Necro only has 3 rotations, so aggregated across the rift it's kind of double damage. Now you don't need to play this in any particular way, you don't need to wait for any particular cycle because the rift's over so quick. This is definitely just a pure speed build, and essentially it's just extra damage, so when it's up and things will vaporize even quicker. We're also going to be taking Tasker and Theo. This is going to give us an attack speed buff to our pets, so essentially it's more damage for the mages. I don't think it actually makes the animation any quicker, but what it does do is it makes them deal more damage, so that's obviously really nice. And then the rest of the items are either for toughness or for utility. So we're going to take Razeth's Volition. So what this does is that the mages gain the Gift of Death rune. So when they die, they leave behind a corpse. So obviously you're pumping out 2 or 4 of these per cast. When they do die, there's going to be a corpse on the ground for you to auto-consume. So it sometimes is worth running backwards a little bit to get some corpses if you're low on essence, because you will just fly through the rift extremely quickly. Lyoric's Crown is going to give us double the effect of the gem in the helm, so this will basically be double cooldown. Now we're going to gear for cooldown pretty much everywhere we can get it, just because it's going to help us tremendously, so this is a fantastic item. Requiem Cereplate, we've got Devour on Numlock, we've got plenty of corpses, so we're going to benefit from extra essence and also life. So this will basically act as kind of like an on the move heal. It'll just heal us as we go, and it'll keep topping up our essence as we go, provided we're consuming corpses. We've gone for the Vigilante belt. This is going to give us more cooldown. More cooldown is more access to all of our abilities, and that's going to be more presses of Land of the Dead and Simulacrum, and thus more damage immunity as well. Now we've gone for the Hexing Pants of Mr. Yan. This gives us a 25% damage increase whilst we're moving, and also extra resource regeneration. So you don't want to be standing still, you want to be running around in little circles or running from side to side. Now you'll see from the footage, it's just such a quick build that you are literally legging it through the map anyway, so it is really nice to have. Now the season theme obviously is going to put little rings on the ground, so it might well be worthwhile if you're planning on playing in the season to swap this out for some swampland waders. This will give you a 20% physical damage buff, so it's kind of nice because you get the extra damage. You don't have the downside of not having to stand, standing still doesn't have a penalty with these pants, and jumping in one of the cooldown circles I strongly suspect will be amazing for this build because it will pretty much reset your cooldowns very quickly. Now we're going to be taking Stuart's Greaves. Once we teleport we get 100% move speed for 10 seconds. That's amazing. You only want to be activating this probably roughly once every 10 seconds to get your Messerschmitt's procs, but obviously your teleport is a defensive skill. You can use it to get out of danger, so by all means use it whenever you want and you're going to have 100% extra move speed. Squirt's Necklace we covered, double damage. Ancient Path and Defenders. Now I like having these because you don't really want to proc because you can't be quite as aggressive, so you do want to have some form of damage reduction. Now as I say, Land of the Dead will pretty much render you immune to damage because provided there's enemies nearby, this will go through the roof. But you can also use your Dislocation. It will stun enemies so they can't hit you anyway, but it will also activate the Path and Defenders bonus, so it's just there for a little bit of extra toughness. Now by all means you can swap that out for Reaper's Wraps, for example. That would give you extra essence when you consume the health globe. You might want to have a play around with the passives if you do that, or you could just simply take your Nemesis and put them on, and then you're going to put another gear piece in the cube. So again, you might decide that you want to go for your Swamplands and stick in your Hexing Pants here, or you might decide you want to go for an Andariel's Visage and then you're going to stick your Leoric's Crown in. So you can mix and match and go about it that way. Offhand is just a stat stick, so something preferably with cooldown. I don't have it. I probably should re-roll this for cooldown, but I use it on another build anyway, so I don't really want to take the life percent off, but cooldown would obviously be your number one pick on stats, but just something that's ancient that's got really good stats will work absolutely fine. And then as we say guys, Nemesis Braces, obviously to speed rift you want the progression, and this is without these it's very hard to do a rift in 2.5 minutes. So that's the gear. Now in terms of swaps, another one potentially worth considering is the Flavour of Time. This would give you extra cooldown, and what you would do is you would take off your convention, you would put on a circle of Naruji Vol, and then you would put your squirts in the cube because you want to keep your cooldown on the Flavour of Time, and it actually rolls with an extra stat. The downside is this thing is a pig to get rolled really well because there are just so many stats that can drop on it. And what I found is that actually losing the convention damage does hurt you because it's just kind of there. Every 4 out of 12 seconds you're getting extra damage. More damage is more kills is more cooldown reduction. So really I found that actually the double pylons was nice, but I actually preferred the extra damage from the convention. But by all means you can swap that round if you want. Now looking at the skills, Singularity we've covered, so that's fine. Simulacrum Reservoir again we've covered, we just want the double essence. Devour, Cannibalize, we're going to go for this because what it means is that when we activate Land of the Dead our health just shoots up constantly, so for the 10 seconds Land of the Dead is up we just got this amazing regen effect, so that's really nice. Bone Armor Dislocation, we've talked about that, it's the stun, it's going to proc the APDs and also proc Crispins if let's say you don't have Land of the Dead up. Blood Rush Potency, now I don't go for Metabolism here because what I've noticed is that if you have Metabolism you will get a reduced benefit from your Messerschmitts because you can have 2 charges with Metabolism and it's going to funnel more procs away from Land of the Dead and Simulacrum. So I've just gone for Potency just for the extra armor. Again, I don't really want to proc, I want to be aggressive and get through this rift in as close to 2 minutes 15 as possible. But by all means you can change it, you can put it on, and it does help with Blood is Power, which we'll get to in a minute. You could also go for Molting and also consume the corpse, but I've just had Potency on and I think it works quite well. Land of the Dead, Frozen Lands, obviously staple, again mandatory, freezes the screen, infinite corpses, tons of toughness, tons of essence, tons of mages, just has to be done. Wrathman's Shield we've covered, this gives us the damage immunity for 4 seconds. Overwhelming Essence is just simply more damage, so that's really nice. Blood is Power, now this we don't get benefit from quite a lot of the time, because you just find that you roll around your cooldown so quickly that you don't even have time for this to proc. Now it will do occasionally, because Simulacrum costs 25% health, and every time you teleport that's another 5%, plus you might take some damage. You don't really want to be taking damage from your squirts, but it's really there in case you proc, because if you do die, you obviously have lost all of your life, so this effect pops up, and it just means that you can reactivate Land of the Dead or Simulacrum, whichever it is that you need to get going, so much quicker. So, you know, you will die from time to time, because without the invulnerability up, it is Necro, you do find that you are squishy, which is why you have to back off once you proc, but it's so easy to get back on the bike. If you do unfortunately proc and then die, your skills come back so quickly that you literally just get back on and off you go, and all it hurts you is a few seconds to respawn. Your rifts are still really quick. And that brings us to the last passive, which is obviously Final Service. This sucks because it removes all of your minions, but it at least allows you to keep going and get that 5th gem up, and it can only occur every 60 seconds. But, you know, again, it's another kind of layer of complete damage immunity once it's up. The only downside is once your mages have gone, you kind of got to have one of your powerful abilities really to get going. But other than that, you can just try and duck, dodge, weave and avoid until you're ready to activate one of them, and off you go. Now, other passives wise, you could try and swap some out. So Overwhelming Essence, you do deal quite a lot of damage, so Life from Death would be quite nice if you wanted to go for the Reaper's Wraps. You might want to take out Blood is Power. Either one of those two I'd consider swapping. I wouldn't swap Wrath from Shield or Final Service. You could go for Fueled by Death for a little bit more move speed, but I probably wouldn't say that's worth it. The only other one that I think is probably worth it is Dark Reaping, again for maybe the regen. But as I say, I've had a good play around with it, and these are the 4 that I really like. Now in terms of stats guys, it's a cooldown based build. We're going as hard as we can. I've got 50%, so this definitely could be improved. It could get up to probably about 55-60. I'm missing it on my ring. I only have 9 on my weapon, and I don't have it on my offhand at all. And also it's missing from the necklace. Not that I'm saying you definitely should roll it there, but you can get this number higher. Obviously the higher it is, the easier a time you have with this. So for the rest of the stat priorities, rather than have me read them out to you, I'm just going to put a D3 planner link. It's just a bit easier and probably a little less dull to listen to. So you can go there and get all the bits and bobs that you need. Now one thing I mentioned guys is that this is really easy to put together. All you really need is the Legacy of Dreams gem, and you will start doing extra damage. The thing ranks up pretty quickly, so I'll try and put a screenshot up showing it at level 25 and a couple of other levels, and the power really does grow quite quickly. Now the Messerschmitt's Reaver you can get by upgrading 2-handed axes. There's only 4 in the pool, super easy to get. Circle of Nailuj Vol is in the loot pool at level 1, super easy to get. Lyric's Crown again is in the pool at level 1, so you could put it in the cube whilst you're getting going. Squirt's Necklace is also in the pool at level 1. Generally I don't like rolling amulets at Kadala because they do cost a lot, but there's so few in the loot pool at 1. In fact I think it might be the only one, in which case it's really easy to hit. Your offhand any will do, so you just need a legendary. Scythe of the Cycle, there's only 4 of these in the pool, so again it's pretty easy to hit. You know, your pants aren't really essential, your boots aren't really essential, your shoulders aren't really essential. You know, Task of Theo is nice, but it's not the end of the world if you don't have it. And the same for the Serra Plate. You know, if you go for Reaper's Wraps, which are craftable as soon as you get to 70 once you've killed Malthael. If you go for the passive that generates the health globes, then again there's less requirements to rely on this. So what I'm getting at guys, it's pretty easy to stick this together at a low level and you'll just be absolutely wrecking content very, very quickly. And obviously the more ancients that you collect and the better gear pieces and the more pieces that fit will be the way forwards. Now the key is always going to be getting Crispins. This is a huge damage buff, but whilst you're going for it, as we say, you might get yourself a circle and you might want to just stick that on and get a Squirts in the cube, you know. And you can use Flavour of Time and all these other gear pieces that we covered. So it's quite flexible in terms of gearing, especially for a Legacy of Dreams build. So that's the build guys. This thing is disgusting, it's really quick, it's a load of fun, it's going to be even more powerful than Season 18. So I hope you liked it. If you did, leave a thumbs up and I will catch you in the next video. Good luck in Season 18, peace.